Next, we have with us Aman Malhotra. Yeah, so Aman is the cybersecurity architect at UST Global. Aman, can you hear us?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Okay.
Yes, so you can share your screen and you can put your camera on.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I hope everybody is able to see my screen. And so I will be covering the topic of how do we build a next-gen SOC. So we hear a lot of, you can say the buzzword SOC. It means different things for different people. Maybe for a student, he might be aspiring to become a SOC analyst or enter the SOC team. A cybersecurity expert might be wanting to shift to becoming a subject matter expert, like a forensics expert or a threat intelligence expert, and joining the SOC team. For a company or for a security leader or for a you can say a security program manager like me, it might mean a different thing. It might mean how do I improve my risk profile and how do I build a very strong security operations so that I'm able to sleep well at night and I am confident that hackers will not be able to enter my, you can say, technology ecosystem. So before jumping into the topic, a quick introduction. So my name is Aman Malhotra. I am the cybersecurity solutions architect at UST Global and Cyberproof. A quick line on the company. UST Global is an IT company, one of the leading IT companies and digital transformation company, founded almost two decades ago. Cyberproof is the cybersecurity arm and the cybersecurity division company of UST Global that runs the SOC of UST Global and other many major companies. So with that introduction, let's get started. So before we jump into what's required to build a security operation, let's understand what a security operation center is. So this is a photo which I had taken long back. This is the SOC office of our Israel SOC center, Cyberproof Israel SOC center that we had taken. So if you see Security Operations Center is basically your SOC team. It's a team that you build which monitors the entire network, applications and all assets that the company have, including endpoints, cloud, servers, everything, so that they are able to detect, monitor, detect and respond to any threat that comes inside your network, and also able to learn what they have been doing and build a lot of use cases or basically come up with a lot of techniques so that in future they are able to proactively identify and detect threats like zero threats, for example, which are not even discussed or seen in the past. So that is a brief introduction about Security Operations Center. Why the question comes to the mind is why actually we want to build a Security Operations Center. So what's the motivation behind building a SOC? There can be many motivations. One, for example, like if I am a Paytm or a e-commerce company where I'm doing transactions, so I might be bounded by regulatory or PCI DSS requirement or other global and regulatory compliance. If I'm a bank and if I fit into a specific criteria, I might be bounded by RBI guidelines to manage my security operations in a particular way. So there are a lot of compliance and regulatory requirements that a company needs to fulfill. Second, you might be handling a lot of PII sensitive data. PII, you might fall under GDPR, you might be handling health data of a lot of clients and all that. So you are handling sensitive data and it becomes your responsibility to protect their data as well. Third is your security or your threat profile is such that you have been exposed to a lot of breaches in the past, and you have been observing that a lot of bad actors are actually targeting your organization, and you will really need to build a fortress of security or an operation center which can monitor everything and protect you from all those breaches that are coming in. And the fourth is if your company is in a particular industry or they are handling data or maybe the threat profile of your company or your company is very huge. For example, if you're a Fortune 500 company, so you would like to proactively build a SOC, even if you might not fall under a regulatory or a government regulation. Still, you would like to build a security operation center and be 2 steps ahead, so that if tomorrow nothing happens and your brand equity or your brand image is not spoiled. But the question is, if you notice the topic of my presentation, there was 2 keywords, which was next gen. So if you see, there are 2 categories of companies nowadays. One who actually has built a SOC and running a SOC, one who are now planning to build a SOC. Both this category of companies are now planning to move towards a next gen SOC. So what is this next gen SOC and why do we need it? Why the traditional SOC that companies have are not sufficient? So honestly, like gone are the days when the office or the security parameters was like one building or one floor, and it was a physical space, physical computers, physical servers, and everything was within a physical boundary. And if anything wrong happened, you can just go and unplug and you will be protected. But it's not like that. If you see, especially in this COVID era, everyone is working from home. My team, they're 50% are based in Kerala, 50% is in UK, 50 in some are in Bangalore. So if you see, people are working from home or their respective cities, they are not able to go to office. Everybody is connected to the cloud. A lot of companies use Microsoft Outlook or O365 business applications. So everything is connected to Azure in that case. A lot of companies have moved to AWS. So the digital landscape is expanding and a lot of things are moving towards cloud, containerization and other microservices. And the physical era has just disappeared, to be honest. And thanks to COVID, it has just accelerated. So this all expanding digital estate that is coming up, if you see, but still, if you are sitting at your home, maybe in your native or anywhere around the world, wherever you might be sitting, you are still able to access everything on your mobile, on your laptop, on your tab or anywhere, and you're able to run the show. So that is how the digital landscape has evolved. And it is the need of the hour that your security operations team and the components of your SOC should also complement this. So it's important before we move to building the SOC, it's very important to understand 2 things. One, the SOC team, how the SOC team is structured and how you build your SOC team. And other is the other components. How do you build the components of the SOC? So first we have the SOC team. We will cover that in detail. So first we have the SOC team. Then we list down all our data resources. So like you make a list of all your assets, your network assets, your servers, antivirus, DLPs, firewalls, IDS, IPS, everything, endpoints, mobile, laptops, then your application, internal, external application, DMZ applications, internet facing applications, internal applications, SaaS applications, your infra on the cloud, any other external third-party thing you are using. These are especially the IT components. If a company which is both into the IT and the OT space, you also make a list of which are your critical assets on the OT side, which are the sensors, the controllers, and everything which is monitoring the OT environment. So you make a list of all your assets and then classify it into critical assets and non-critical assets so that you are able to define the rules accordingly. Next, you take a stock of all the security technologies that you have and what purpose it is doing, whether you need it or not. If you need it, okay. If there are any gaps that you need to fill, for example, you might only have an antivirus and you might, given the business equation or given the business and the way you work, you might think, okay, a DLP might make sense. Installing a DLP might make sense. For a company who is on a maturity scale higher, might think, okay, let's go for a EDR, for example. So there are different security technologies that different companies might be using. So it's important to take a stock of all the technologies that you're using. What's the pros and cons of that? Whether you actually need that or not. If you need, that's good. Any other gap which is open, you should address that and bring in new technologies. Once you have all this, you can say the ecosystem of all your technologies and assets figured out, then you need to build the log collection process. So log collection process is basically your firewall, your server, every component is generating a lot of logs. So you collect all the logs and bring it to a central place. That is the data management layer. You collect everything and then you process it at a single place, and then you store it as well, because in the past, if you in the future, if you want to refer to your past records, or you want to query that, for example, okay, your SOC might tell you, okay, 1 year before also you have faced the same problem. So you might have to go back and refer to a lot of data. So then you store data accordingly, you define your retention period accordingly in the data management layer. One more feature of data management layer is that, especially when you have different environments, the data that you are receiving might not be of same format. So you need to deploy a data normalization layer as well, if required. Then we come to the SIEM layer, which is the analytics layer. So once you have all the data in place, you have a SIEM tool. There are a lot of SIEM tools in the market. For example, if I go with the leaders, some few names that come into my mind is Microsoft Sentinel, IBM QRadar, ArcSight, Splunk, Rapid. There are lots, and all are really doing good and solves your problem. The thing is, what do we need a SIEM for? The SIEM is, if you want to run a SOC, SIEM is like mandate. You actually need SIEM if you really want to mature over time and bring a matured SOC in your organization. So what does SIEM does? SIEM takes the data which is centrally collected, aggregates, run correlations on it, processing and everything, and then stores it as well and run queries on it. SIEM has detection rules. So if you see, the objective of the SOC is to monitor, detect, and respond. So SIEM has detection rules, which it will use to detect a lot of events, or you can say alerts, and it generates alert which is fed into the SOC team. So this setup is, you can say, how we used to build SOC 5 years ago, or maybe some companies might be, who might have built SOC 5-10 years ago, might be running the same process and then slowly adding technologies to it. So this was generally termed as a traditional SOC. Now with the next gen SOC components come in. So they have a lot of next gen SOC come in. One, going back to this old points that we have already discussed, the SIEM has matured a lot. There's next gen SIEMs coming into the picture who are able to use technologies like AI, machine learning, and big data analytics, and a lot of things, UEBA, and a lot of things comes into the SIEM, and they're able to improve on their detection capabilities so that the number of false positives that are generated are very, very less. So one, you actually go back and analyze the SIEM that you are using should be a next gen SIEM. And there are lots in the market. The companies I mentioned, everyone has a next gen SIEM available. So you can explore that. The next gen components that come over and above the SIEM are, the first is the SOAR. So SOAR is, you can say, the stepping stone that you might need when you are moving to a next gen SOC. So SOAR is the orchestration automation layer that you bring in. So it's a platform that will take alerts from your SIEM, runs a lot of use cases and playbooks. So use cases and playbooks are step-by-step process that are defined, that a tool can run automatically, and maybe there's a workflow. For example, if there's a phishing mail, okay, check the reputation of the link, see how many people have received it. Okay, all this initial investigation, how many users have clicked on it, all this initial investigation can be automated. Whereas a lot of response activities can also be automated, but it depends on company to company how much they want to automate. And accordingly, they can decide how much use cases and playbooks they want to customize, because a lot of companies prefer keeping the decision making to themselves. Then a thing that SOAR allows is that SOAR allows you to integrate external sources, bring in threat intelligence feeds. It lets you query the dark web, deep web, and able to integrate all those feeds inside, so that the SOC team who is sitting and seeing the one pane of glass of SOAR platform, they're able to see all internal data coming in from SIEM and other technologies, and are also able to see external alerts and are able to take decision based on both the information. Then we have the AI and the ML virtual analysts. In some cases, for example, in our SOC, we have a virtual analyst. Basically, the use case and playbook, we have defined a virtual analyst who runs everything, and it's like a virtual analyst working in your SOC team, so that your SOC team, which you build, is very lean and is only focusing on the next level investigation which is required and the decision making part. Then we have a lot of tools, like for example, if you have set up the SOC till here, then you will try to see, okay, you bring in a 24/7 threat intel tool, you bring in a vulnerability management tool, like there are lots, XM Cyber, Skybox, Colsys, a lot of, you might bring in something, you might bring a EDR, you might want to deploy a deception technology, anomaly detection technology. So then you can mature and everything can be integrated in your SOAR, where the SOC team can view it and take an informed decision. Then we have UEBA, user and equity behavior analytics. Basically, you tend to analyze and monitor the behavior of both human and machine. And if there's any, you can say, discrepancy in the behavior of either of them, then an alert is generated and you're able to see. And last, but the most important is, given all that, you actually need a team of subject matter experts like digital forensics expert, or maybe the expert advanced incident response experts. Tomorrow, after all this, if there is some issue and one of your employees goes and click on link and some virus is downloaded or something peeps into your network, there should be subject matter experts and leaders who are able to go back and able to isolate the issue and able to solve it as well. Maybe recover the data as well. Depends on situation to situation. So these are the components of next-gen SOC. If you see, SIEM is the heart of the SOC, as I mentioned. And in the next-gen SOC, SOAR plays the similar role. SOAR and SIEM together becomes the heart of the SOC, and you are able to bring in the automation component in your SOC as well. So why so much importance on SOAR in the next-gen SOC? So if you see, I will refer to the latest Gartner report. So Gartner mentioned today, as on date, there are less than 5% companies using a SOAR tool or a SOAR platform. But as per Gartner, by the end of 2022, 30% and more organization will move to adopting SOAR platform who has a security team of 5 or more. So that much, you can say, the increase in SOAR they are forecasting because of the changing landscape and moving towards a next-gen SOC. So we understood the next-gen SOC components. Now, how do you build your SOC team? So you have first layer is, So first layer is the L1 analyst. The L1 analysts are the analysts who have their eyes on screen. They are able to monitor and detect alerts. They work on the SOAR or the SIEM platform, depending on which is the highest layer you have deployed. And they have their eyes on the class. They monitor all the alerts, investigate all the alerts, and then detect and move it to incident if they find anything negative about it. Then we have the L2 experts who work on incident response and focus investigation, finding out the iOS indicator of compromises and trying to solve and close the incident. Then we have the platform management team. So what happens is, for example, there was an incident and then you close the incident, then you found out, okay, this was the path that the alert or the attacker had followed. So you go back, build a detection rule accordingly, or fine tune the detection rule accordingly, and the platform management team will go and deploy that in the SIEM or the SOAR, so that tomorrow when the same incident occurs, you are able to detect it in a better way. And next we have the subject matter experts. We have threat intelligence expert, we have malware analyst, we have a digital forensics expert, and the expert from the IR field who can be looped in or who can be contacted if there is any major incident and the SOC team feels that they are not able to do justice to that. All this, the team is managed by the SOC manager, and over that we have the CISO or the security leader. Generally, from an investment point of view as well, plus the mere effort that goes into building a SOC team and a SOC operations. Generally, these all components are generally outsourced to MSSP, and the client, like for example, in case of UST, like UST might have a team of experts, and then they can outsource everything to Cyberproof. So then they have their own SOC team and build their own next-gen SOC components and are able to monitor and run the SOC. So this is a screenshot from our India SOC center, which is in Trivandrum. This is a screenshot from my SOC center in Israel. So let's come to the main point. How do we build a next-gen SOC? So if you remember the slide of the components of SOC, the first point is we list down all the assets that we have. So all the security generating events, devices, all the network logs, basically from your servers, firewalls, or your network devices, the applications and the endpoints, the IT infrastructure. If you have exposure to OT as well, then your OT sensors, switches, and the control center. Once you have everything figured out and you start collecting the log, you absorb everything in the data management layer. And maybe if you have data lake, like you might buy storage in Azure, or you have something in AWS, you build a data lake where you are able to store the logs based on the retention policy that your organization defines. Then we have the next gen SIEM. It can be cloud native or on-prem, depending on how your company is structured. But generally, if given a choice, we recommend going for a cloud native SIEM. What does the SIEM do? SIEM collects everything, aggregates the data, basically run correlation and analytics on it. And you are able to, you can say, monitor everything and feed alert to the SOC team, who then analyzes the alert and create incident. After the same, you have your SOAR platform, which brings in orchestration. Orchestration is basically getting everything at one place and able to make a good decision. And basically in SOC terms, we call it helping with alert enrichment. So you are able to enrich the alerts basis the details that you collect. It provides you with the automation component using the use case and playbooks defined in, plus from the threat intel feeds that are coming from the external sources. So this is the next gen SOC that you bring in. Over this, you have your, before that, yes, integration is a very important part, which we saw in the components. You are able to integrate everything. You are able to integrate your security tools, like maybe Microsoft ATP, any EDR, VM tools, or maybe deception tools. Plus, you might have a ticketing tool as well, like Jira, ServiceNow, Remedy. So you are able to integrate everything into the SOAR platform so that your SOC team, when they are working on this next-gen SOC, sees one screen and are able to control all the components of your technology ecosystem from one single place. So this is how you bring, how you build a next-gen SOC. To move one step ahead, I will just take the example of Cyberproof, because that's where I was building the SOC for USG. So if I consider the example of Cyberproof, so we have this 24/7/365 CDC, which we call Cyberproof Defense Center, which has the SOC team and the Cyberproof SOAR platform, which is there. The USP of this is we have this virtual analyst, which you can see in between, which we call CMO, which we have built. So basically, we have a virtual analyst called CMO, who runs all the use cases and playbooks on behalf of us. So if we are working together in a SOC team, we might be out on a coffee break, or we might be busy on our phones or taking a break or somewhere. But if something happens, and if the response capability or the response window is very, very low, you need to respond immediately within few seconds. So that's where the virtual analyst add values. The virtual analyst will be there. It will trigger all the actions automatically, and you're able to respond immediately. Over this next-gen SOC, you add two more capabilities. One is customized use cases and playbooks. Basically, whatever you do on a day-to-day basis, on a monthly or a quarterly basis, it is highly recommended that you take a step back, see what you have learned in the maybe in a couple of weeks or the month, define what are the gaps or what are the loopholes in your security operations center, and then go back and build a use case and a playbook accordingly, so that tomorrow it occurs, then there is an automation component which is there and it is triggered. And obviously you should have a team of SOC expert and the subject matter experts that you can reach out to in case the L1 and the L2 team is not able to detect or not able to respond to a particular thing. And obviously the SOC operations runs along a lot of SLAs. So everything is SLA driven. Mean time to detect and mean time to respond are the two major components that SOC team strives for. So for example, if I'm a L2 and I'm working on an incident and I feel, okay, I've already taken 1 hour and I'm not going anywhere or I am not reaching a conclusion, I should immediately notify my subject matter expert and take their help. So that is how they work very closely with the SOC team. So this is how we build a SOC, next-gen SOC. I hope this was helpful. I think we have 4 more minutes. Happy to take any